All right, let's talk Bryce Young and the 3-3 Carolina Panthers, a team that a couple weeks into the season, they were already maybe looking ahead to the draft, saying, okay, what's going to happen next year? But all of a sudden, this Panthers team is on a bit of a roll. Yes, against some not great defenses, but you know what? They're doing what they should do against not great defenses. Let's talk about Bryce Young and what he was able to do in this game. Someone who I just went on record saying I've never given up on Bryce Young. Probably after his first year I did when he got benched, but in his second year, maybe that too. But at least since he come back and played well, I haven't given up on him. There's a lot of stuff like this you would see in this game against Dallas, which every team's been doing this to Dallas. Carolina it's not an exception to do this, but it's still something you want to do. It's a zone coverage concept. You have your receiver lined up towards the offense's left, run a bit of a deeper route, trying to take that corner away. Then the tight end's going to kind of fake as though he's going over the middle and instead go to where that corner now hopefully isn't. Watch as when Bryce Young takes the snap, he's going to have a clean pocket, well blocked. That's definitely a part of it. You got to block. Carolina does block effectively, and you see there's just a receiver wide open. Again, Dallas needs to pick the stuff up better, but what do you got to do if you're playing against a team like that? You have to take advantage. Young, well-thrown football, right on the money, all that good stuff, and they're able to pick up a completion there. So, yeah, good stuff there by everyone involved, running the setup routes, blocking, quarterback, and play calling. It's all working effectively. I thought there were some interesting decisions by Bryce Young in this game, interesting decisions that worked in this game. So this play, it's going to be a cover 3 zone that the Carolina Panthers are going up against. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are running here. Watch as when Young takes a snap. So you have a couple of routes. Ted McMillan takes away the corner. You then have a player who was lined up as a fullback taking away the linebacker. And you see how that linebacker is a step behind and he's completely turned his back towards the quarterback, which isn't usually what you want to do, but kind of what you have to do when you're a step behind like this. So what a lot of quarterbacks would do is push the ball down the field, try and hit that tight end. Bryce Young's going to actually kind of be a little bit clever here. Watch him instead flip this to Rico Dowdle because now that linebacker is nowhere near the area and there's a kind of a free first down. So on one hand, you could have maybe gained a couple more yards had you pushed it down the field. On the other hand, you still got the first down. You still got a good amount of yards, and you didn't need to make the tough throw. You can make an easier throw. So I have no issue with that kind of cautious decision, and I actually kind of like it. Take the guaranteed first down instead of trying to be risky for just a couple more yards. And we also saw some stuff like this. I mean, we got to talk Ted McMillan, right? I mean, this guy is, he only had 3 catches in this game, but he had some big catches. 2 of them were in the end zone, and this one was the other one, which was still an impressive play. So it's a zone coverage concept on a 3rd down and 8. He's going up really one-on-one against Diggs. I know that there's a concept on the screen and whatever, but really, with McMillan's route, he's going to be running to get towards the sideline, and Diggs isn't stupid. He knows it's 3rd and 8. He knows where McMillan's probably going to be running. However, when McMillan runs this route, he sells so well that he might be going down the field that when he cuts, again, Diggs kind of aware this is a thing that could happen, and he's known for jumping routes, but even with that, there's a bit of a window. This is a perfect throw from Bryce Young, and McMillan's able to make the grab. This is good football stuff. This is number 1 wide receiver football stuff. Like the Panthers would have the occasional, Adam Thielen out route last year and stuff like that. But the reason why they spent the 8th overall pick on McMillan is to win a play like this, and that's what he was able to do. He also had stuff like this where it's going to be a zone coverage concept, cover 2 zone here. And this is, I think, again, we talk about the competition, and I always kind of like to say, you can evaluate a player when they're in a good situation, you can evaluate a player when they're in a bad situation. Is it sometimes more difficult? Yes, but you can still do it. And so, like here, it's again, I already said, cover 2 zone, and it's only going to be a 3-man rush. And essentially the way this works is you have a receiver running kind of a shallower route, and then McMillan's running the deeper route on the screen. And essentially there will be a safety that will cover, in theory, McMillan one-on-one on Indian zone, and that could be a good situation. Watch as when Bryce Young takes the snap, he is going to ultimately get his head turned towards McMillan, and McMillan faked as though he's going over the middle, and then when he cuts back further, closer towards the sideline, he's just so open. So again, you can't let this happen. You can't let McMillan beat you, but this is just what McMillan can do. Some good route running, he can pick up the big completion, right? As you see, Young's able to make the throw, and they're able to get that touchdown right there, and it's the route running that is really impressive for me with McMillan. Listen, there's a lot of big guys in the NFL. There's a lot of fast guys in the NFL. But what separates someone like McMillan from those guys is always going to be the route running, and he's fantastic at that. There is an interception on Young's resume, but this was the play. I mean, was it a perfect throw? Maybe not, but like that's one McMillan will tell you he should have come up with. Either way, it's very unlucky that it gets bounced up and is intercepted. So definitely not Young's fault. If you want to criticize McMillan for that one, you can. That could be the one knock on McMillan in this game, but ultimately gives the ball to the defense. You never want that, but again, was not a bad play. As in, was not a bad play by Bryce Young to give that up. Also, this play was fun. Reminds me of the Chiefs in the first Eagles Super Bowl when they beat the Eagles a couple years back. It's the corn dog play, I believe is what they call it. So here you have Hunter Renfrow. You see how he's in motion from the offense's right to the offense's left. But then he's going to stop and he's going to actually come back in motion back to the offense's right. And this is really smart because you see the Cowboys are communicating. You already have, when you see someone in motion, you have to make sure you're covering the right guy. But since Renfrow is now going back, now you have to communicate again. Okay, wait, what I just told you, actually, never mind. Go back to what you were doing, essentially. But now that safety, who moved very far towards the top of the screen, realized a little bit later that, the player's actually not in motion and I have to get back towards the bottom of the screen. He's going to cover Ted McMillan, who is lined up in the slot right here because his job is now going to be cover the guy closest toward the middle of the field, which is going to end up being McMillan. So because of this, when McMillan runs his route as a safety, I mean, what do you do in this situation? All turned around. McMillan, of course, he's going to take advantage, gets the touchdown, and they're able to, take the lead in the fourth quarter. So really good play call, stuff that really works. Also very well executed by McMillan, by Bryce Young, and by Hunter Renfrow. Again, no one's going to give the guy who ran in motion well credit for a touchdown, but ultimately it is an important aspect of the play, and he was able to do it. And, of course, you got to talk about this play, really the play of the game. They decided to go for it on 4th and 3 here in a tie game, which I think is the right call. Given how these offenses are playing, you don't want to just give Dallas the ball, and you also don't want to just go up 3 points, and it would be a long field goal from here, even if you tried that. So they're going to decide to go for it. I think it's the correct call, but that means the players have to execute. And Bryce Young and Hunter Renfrow are going to be the two players. You see Renfrow's route, certainly one that can work against this coverage. Here's where things are interesting, though. A linebacker is going to drop back into coverage. He's selling as though he's blitzing, but he's going to drop back into coverage. So that could potentially complicate things for Bryce Young on a play like this. However, watch how Renfro's open quick enough. Young's able to just get the ball there before that linebacker can drop back and really make a play. And because of that, the Panthers still pick up the first down. They would ultimately, march down the field. They run the rest of the clock out. And are able to kick a field goal as time expires and beat the Cowboys. So, yeah, it's good stuff from Bryce Young. Again, I think all but last week, I made a video of the opposing quarterback praising them for how they played against the Dallas defense. The Dallas defense not playing great is a part of this, of course. But you know what? You went up against a bad defense. You executed your plays. You had a game plan. You were able to execute and able to put up a good amount of points. Like, no matter who you're playing, it's not easy to put up 30 in this league, and the Panthers were able to do it, and it's not easy to be 3-3, but the Panthers are that as well. They are 500, and all of a sudden, if you're a Panthers fan, you're checking out the playoff standings. What do you got to do to get in, which is fun. So, yeah, obviously still a lot of information we need, which we will learn as the season goes along with how good the Panthers are. But it's fun that they have, been able to turn things around a little bit. Hey, after the first couple of weeks doesn't mean that your season is done, and this is a good example of that. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.